Hello students, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jagdeep. In this video series, we are learning about market structures. In our previous video, we learned about supernormal profits under perfectly competitive markets. This video shall focus on the losses in the short run. So without wasting any time further, let's get started. So on a general notion, we know that losses would occur when your revenue is running short of your expenses or total cost is less than total cost. Another way to jot down minimum losses would be average revenue is less than average cost. And we need to remember that this situation should prevail corresponding to the equilibrium level of output. Okay? Let's take a look at the diagrammatic representation of losses. Now, why are we calling it as minimum losses? Ideally, a simple loss would also work, but generally as a producer, your agenda is not only to maximize your profit, but also to minimize your losses, and hence the term minimum losses. Okay, let's take a look at the diagrammatic representation. So here we have y and x axis, we have revenues and costs on the y axis and quantity on the x axis. A lot of boards would also put price and costs. That also is absolutely fine. Now, since this is a perfectly competitive market, we know that the AR and MR curve is a horizontal line parallel to x axis. So let's draw that as well. So I'm using the same black shade over here to represent MR is equal to AR is equal to price, and we could also call it as demand. Okay, since I may not have a lot of space here, I may not be using the whole of the term, and I would just write P is equal to D. Okay, so this is your equity that you would see under a perfectly competitive market. Now, to get the profit maximizing output, what are we supposed to do? Remember the profit maximizing condition, MC equals MR, and MC cuts MR from below. So we have to get our MC curve in the picture. So let us say this is the marginal cost curve, and from this point here, we draw a perpendicular down on the x-axis to get the quantity. My curves are all freehand today. So if the lines are not that straight, please ensure that in your diagrams, if you are making along with me, they are straight. Okay. Now, when we talk about loss, what was the loss all about? It was about this, where average revenue is lower than average cost. So if this is the point of equilibrium, let me label it as E, and this is the price at equilibrium, and this is the quantity at equilibrium. Okay. So at the point of equilibrium, we need to get this situation. That means the average revenue should be less than average cost. So average revenue is here, so average cost should be anything above PE. Let's draw an average cost curve. So for all those people who've seen the cost videos would know that when you draw an average cost curve, MC and AC would intersect at a point where AC is at its minimum, right? So let's draw the AC curve. Alright, so this is the average cost curve. So if you could pay attention, this is the minimum at which AC is, and from here onwards AC tends to rise, and at the point of equilibrium we see that average cost curve is way above the average revenue curve. Let's mark it on the diagram. So let me label this line as S and T. Okay, so now in this diagram, if we take a look at AR, so AR is here, this is the average revenue. Let me mark it up for you. So this here is the average revenue, and this here is your average cost. So we can clearly see that AR is less than AC, and it is clearly leading to a loss. How much is the loss? So if we are supposed to shade the region, this entire rectangle here represents the loss. So loss is equal to S, T, E and PE, right? How much is your AR? AR is equal to O, PE, E and QE, and AC is equal to O, S, T and QE. Students, if you find this topic challenging, why not join one of my online tutoring sessions? We could dive deep into this concept, and I'm already working with students across the countries like UAE and Singapore. You could reach me directly at the number displayed on your screen, and make sure that you don't miss on your 30 minutes complimentary session. With such a huge amount of loss, will this firm continue to operate? So yes, even while making losses, a firm might need to consider a situation if it is able to recover its variable costs, right? If we know how average variable cost curve is plotted, let's take a look at the diagram. Now again, we need to remember, when we plot the average variable cost curve, we know that the variable cost curve would intersect the marginal cost curve at its lowest point. If we've studied the relationship, we know how it works. So let's plot the curve. So your average variable cost curve would be like this. Okay, let us say this is average variable cost. Now if we take a look at the average variable cost curve, the intersection point here is much below the price, right? So if you are supposed to plot and point it out in this diagram, this here, from here to here, are your average variable costs, and this much is your revenue, right? Average revenue. So we can see that the firm is able to recover its average variable costs. In this scenario, the firm would not shut down because it is still able to cover its average variable costs at this price. So even if the firm is making a loss, it will still continue to keep producing. Okay? This is how losses would be depicted under a perfectly competitive market. Students, if you found this video helpful, I invite you to show your support by using the super thanks button below. Your contributions are super important as they help me to deliver free content for students like you. If you find learning through long videos daunting, you could also follow me over my Instagram channel. I shall meet you in another video with Shutdown Point. Until then, bye now. Take care.